We are going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, and welcome to the League of Women Voters of Naperville's Candidate Forum for the Naperville Park District Board of Commissioners. This event is being recorded. I'm Becky Simon with the League of Women Voters of Naperville. We are a nonpartisan organization. We do not support or oppose candidates for public office. We understand that feelings are running high for this particular election, so let me assure you that you can always rely on League of Women Voters to present fair and civil candidate forums where each candidate is allowed an equal chance to respond. All candidates have been invited to participate, and all candidates present will be given equal time to speak. Our moderators are League trained, and to avoid any conflict of interest, they are always from outside of the district they are moderating in. The questions we will be asking tonight are all relevant to the office candidates are running for, and they are questions that can be answered by all candidates. Similarly, our online voter guide, Vote 411, is also nonpartisan. On Vote 411, all candidates have been invited to participate, and the candidates themselves have written their own responses to questions, which are posted complete and unedited. Also, the candidates have the opportunity to post their own video clip, and a video of this candidate forum will also be linked to Vote 411. Tonight, our format for this forum looks a little bit different because we have more candidates than usual. So in order to give each candidate equal time to respond to questions and to allow a reasonable number of questions to be put forth, we have expanded our forum time. Now I would like to introduce tonight's moderator, Barb Lymans from the League of Women Voters of Wheaton. Barb?
Hi, good evening, everyone. As Becky said, my name is Barb Lymans. I do live in West Chicago and am a member of the League of Women Voters of Wheaton. And as I will serve as the moderator for this evening. We will be hearing from candidates running for Naperville Park District Commissioner. 8 candidates have filed petitions to fill 4 open seats. All candidates that filed were invited. Regrettably, Lee Kasika did not respond to the invitation. All participating candidates have agreed to basic rules outlined by the Naperville League of Women Voters. As this is a forum and not a debate, candidates should only address me, the moderator. This forum is being broadcast live via Zoom and Facebook and will be available for future viewing on the League of Women Voters of Naperville YouTube channel. Candidates in alphabetical order by last name will give their opening statements and answer questions. The candidate who makes the first opening statement will move to the end of the line for the first question. And this rotation will continue throughout the questioning and closing statements. Candidates have agreed that each will be allowed 1 minute to give an opening statement, 1 minute to respond to the questions, and 1 minute for a closing statement. Members of the League will act as timers. I encourage candidates to watch the screen as the timers will show 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and then time is up. Should a candidate exceed the time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and then move on to the next candidate or question. So let's begin with opening statements. Candidate Answer, you have 1 minute. Candidate Answer, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much. My name is Rhonda Anseer, running for Naperville Park District Commissioner. I'm a Naperville resident now for almost 6 years, currently work as a nurse practitioner. I have 2 small children who utilize the Park District as well as myself. We've very much enjoyed all the services the Park District has to offer. I grew up in a nearby suburb where I did not get to have access to the Park District as much as possible. So one of the goals I would like to have as a Park District Commissioner candidate is to make Park District programming and services much more accessible and affordable for everybody. I would like to have accountability to the community, make sure that we are serving the community appropriately with our tax dollar usage, as well as promoting a sense of community and the diversity that Naperville has grown to be. Those are the goals that I have for my candidacy, and I would appreciate support in April. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gibson, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you so much to the League of Women Voters of Naperville for hosting tonight, and thank you all for joining. My name is Mary Gibson. I'm a mother of 3 young kids and a former director at a data analytics firm. After being a working parent for a while, I decided to pause my career to stay home with my growing family. And when I did, the Park District became a lifeline for us. I signed my kids up for everything I could. I think boards are most effective when they reflect the communities they serve. So I'm looking to bring the perspective of a young parent to the board, perspective that I think is currently missing. I think the board could also benefit from some gender diversity. I'm running to prioritize quality and affordable programming, to make the Park District a leader in environmental sustainability and stewardship. And I'll also be fiscally responsible. I'll ensure that the Park District time, fund, and resources directly fulfill its mission of helping the people of Naperville lead healthy lives. I hope to earn your vote on or before April 6th. Thanks.
Thank you. Candidate Jaiswal, you have 1 minute.
Hi. Thank you, LWVN, for the opportunity and all the brilliant women and men celebrating the Women's History Month. My name is Nag Jaiswal, and I am a Naperville resident for over 15 years. I have raised 3 children. They're all grown up, and couple, 2 of them are in college. We love the community, Naperville community. This is the community we have thrived in. We have used the facilities. Last 1 year has been a blessing during the pandemic, using all the facilities of golf courses. I'm here with a park security, fiscal responsibility, program quality, and sustainable development. I have 2 master's degrees, one in engineering and one in business development. And I have 27 years of business experience, and I work for Salesforce. I'm here to help the Park District grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate King, your opening statement.
Thank you, Barb, and thank you for the League of Women Voters to have us, have me and all the other candidates here tonight and talk about our platforms. I'm running for my 2nd term, the Park Commissioner, because I really want to give back to Naperville. I love Naperville. I love what it stands for. Love the diversity. Love the opportunities that provides the residents. I want to continue doing that for the Park District as well, too, in the community that we serve. I've lived here for over 50 years. Oh no, not over. Well, about 50 years. I have a Bachelor of Science from Eastern Illinois and a Master's of Operational Leadership from Aurora University. I work as a manager of operations for Nicor Gas, and what my platform really is to maintain our AAA bond rating, provide our services that we have, the diversity of the services that we have for our community, and increase awareness of what we did in the pandemic, and provide services going forward out of the pandemic as well too, and then survey our customers, our community, and find out what their needs are.
Thank you. Candidate Ruffing, 1 minute, please.
Thank you and good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Leslie Ruffing. My husband and I moved to Naperville about 9 years ago, and we felt incredibly lucky to be raising our 2 daughters here. I've been dedicated to a variety of local volunteer opportunities, as giving back to my community has always been important to me. I'm a frequent volunteer at my daughter's elementary school, along with holding several committee chairperson roles in the school's PTA. I'm also the co-lead of my eldest daughter's Girl Scout troop. My volunteer focus for the last several years has been with gun violence prevention and gun safety advocacy. My passion for public service is what has led me to this opportunity to serve my community at a higher level. My 15-year-plus career as a structured settlement annuity broker has afforded me extensive experience advising clients on both spending and saving. I am well-versed in complex financial transactions as I deal with millions of settlement dollars each year. I easily understand cash flow and budgets, and I intend to use these skills if elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Thompson, 1 minute.
Hi, thank you so much for our hosts for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Allison Thompson, and I'm excited to be running for Naperville Park District Board. After losing my management job due to cutbacks from COVID-19, I was motivated to find a local government position where I can make a difference on the ground level. I felt I could truly make a difference, in particular on the Park District Board, and I could enact change in my own city. I felt that women's voices in particular were underrepresented, and I really hope to change that. As a child growing up in Naperville and now a mother of young children, I've relied on the Park District facilities and programs my whole life to be relevant and affordable. I want to spend taxpayer dollars responsibly and use budgets to benefit all of our citizens. I hope to continue the excellent stewardship in environmental work that our city is already known for and to drive programming that focuses on cultural and neurodiversity. I believe I can strengthen Naperville through our parks and through our programming. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Candidate Wilson, your 1 minute opening statement.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this. My name is Nathan Wilson. I live in South Naperville with my wife and 2 young children, where we have resided for a little over 8 years. We use many of the parks throughout the city and participate in various activities and classes, some of which I participate in as a volunteer coach. I have a bachelor's degree in finance and a master's in information systems. I work professionally as a software engineer on financial applications, which is not only challenging, one needs to understand theory and apply said theory while having an appreciation for trade-offs when coming up with solutions to problems. If elected, I'll bring that ability and understanding when making decisions regarding our taxpayer money, as we are accountable to them first and foremost. The Naperville Park District does many things through its partnerships with Western DuPage Special Recreation Association, Kids Matter, Varsity Blood Drives, among others, and its award-winning parks. I would remember to be a good steward of Naperville taxpayers' dollars while continuing to provide the best quality and services and programs. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to questions that were generated by the League of Women Voters of Naperville based on input from the community. Candidate Gibson, the first question will go to you. What is your vision for this position over the next 4 years? What projects or ideas would you prioritize?
Great question. Thank you. I think the community is going to be struggling with the lasting effects of COVID for a while. Even once we move past the initial virus and we're getting vaccinated, the secondary effects of living through a pandemic are going to be with our community. And the Park District, with its mission to help the people of Naperville lead healthy lives, is in a prime position to help our community move forward. I'd like to see expanded options and diverse options. I'd like to see our virtual offerings continue. More concretely, I'd like to see us renew our CAPRA certification this coming July and maintain our AAA bond rating, stay fiscally responsible with tax dollars while making sure our facilities and offerings are available to everyone in Naperville of different backgrounds, different neurodiversities, different cultures. Thank you.
Candidate Jaswal, the same question.
So the COVID has brought a lot of long distance learning. What I would like to do is, as we start the fiscal year, look at what has grown, what's working and what's not working. A little retrospect. Continue the AAA bond rating, try to reduce the debt servicing costs that we have, and obviously look at Park District's offerings. Can we use the remote learning and the on-site and engage the local businesses more so that we can grow the private-public partnership? And the next thing agenda I have in mind is to use our parks and how can we increase the eating habits. I mean, the small businesses are suffering. If we could get the small business out into our parks and we celebrate for the next 9 months, maybe we could jumpstart our economy without sacrificing the health and the quality of life. We can improve the quality. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate King, the same
Thank you, Barbara. That is a great question. As we go into the next 4 years, we want to be able to kind of, get a plan going. And we do have a plan at the Park District to serve our community one of the things that we can actually do to kind of give us an outline of how we want the community wants to be served. It's really not us telling how the community wants to be served. The community should tell us, and it should be by a survey. Our staff has done a great job of listening to the community, adapting the community, very innovative ways that we've provided our services during the pandemic. We have to look at those. Are those going to continue on with the virtual classes that we have? We want to expand those. We want to make sure that they're all inclusive, to make sure that we have something for all age ranges as well too. Employment's going to be something that we have to look at as well too. Do we have the right amount of staff available to serve a community, and what's that going to look like? And also too, just the innovative ways that our staff is doing it. So there's a lot to work on for the next 4 years. It's a challenge for anyone who's going to be on the board. We're going to have a nice challenge ahead of us.
Candidate Ruffing?
Or a good opportunity. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. Thank you so much. Obviously, as everyone has mentioned, moving past COVID is certainly going to be on everyone's mind, and how the Park District can support the community in that is going to be extremely important. It's also going to be important to really work with our community partners to see how we can help them, whether it's the city, the business community, what have you. As much as we work together, we're really going to be able to support one another as we move forward. A lot of residents are going to be excited to get out, see their neighbors, be social, and we're going to really have to provide some opportunities for them. But we also need to be aware that there will be people who won't be comfortable leaving their house. So I really, like a few others have mentioned, I want to, really want to be sure that we still support those virtual participants with programs. Thank you.
Candidate Thompson.
Yes, thank you. So in the next 4 years, I would really like to take a deep dive into what programming is missing from our current list of programs, which I think is fairly extensive, but I have heard from the community that they are desiring more. I especially would like to look into adding more neurodiversity programming. My daughter was very fortunate to participate in a program where she was able to be a typical developing peer amongst children on the autism spectrum. And I felt like this program was such a great opportunity. I would love to bring something like that to Naperville, where we're bridging gaps in our community. We're bringing kids together and creating a better understanding and sense of community. Long term, I would also like to look into possibly working on fundraising for a pool, for an indoor pool. We do live in Illinois, and as great as Centennial Beach is, it doesn't always cut it. So that would be something I would definitely look into as well. Thank you.
Candidate Wilson.
I think we need to look at the demands of the taxpayers first and foremost, as we're firstly responsible to them. People have been obviously drastically hurt by the pandemic economically, so we need to understand their feasibility as far as what programs they'll be able to afford. In Illinois, we see a consistent rise in property taxes. Funding for Park District is partially funded by property taxes, and we need to look at whether new programming will hurt not only them, but potentially also businesses as well. Many businesses have been obviously drastically hurt from closures, so we need to look at whether we may interfere with businesses and help support them as well. Thank you.
Candidate answer the same question, 1 minute.
Thank you. So yes, getting past COVID, we actually have a really wonderful opportunity to be creative and innovative with programming that can reach people where they are. Reaching out to the community, finding out what it is they would like to see. It still involves getting some creative ideas out there too, as far as possible offerings. So I definitely think that, finding out what the community would like to see happen, as well as putting out some ideas of our own as well, for ways to reach people where they are. People don't always leave their houses, even outside of a pandemic, for various reasons. So we have to make sure that all the things that we can offer, that we're making sure there are things that everybody can participate in. We also need to stress our dedication to safety, to keeping mask wearing going for now during programming that we are having indoors, so that people do feel comfortable coming to those things. Even though Illinois has been doing pretty decently with our numbers lately on the COVID virus going down, keep up the safety then, because that means it's working. So that's a priority that I have coming into this. And so that long term, we also can have some things set for the future should this ever happen again.
Thank you. The next question. What concerns do you have as we transition to in-person activities and events in the community after the pandemic? And how would you address them? The second part of the question is, what elements or strategies in place during the pandemic should be retained, if any? Let me read it one more time. What concerns do you have as we transition to in-person activities and events in the community after the pandemic, and how would you address them? What elements or strategies in place during the pandemic should be retained, if any? And we'll start with candidate Jaswal.
All right, very good question. So we need to look at what programs can stay remote. What programs are not making sense to be in person? If constituents can take advantage of the remote programming, we need to segregate both, and we need to address the safety. Even though pandemic is going away, we still need to keep the safety in mind, not restricting the social capabilities. So we need to space that out, look at the feasibility, and maybe have a program which merges on-site, off-site. So if we have a learning program on-site for a week, we could cut that and make it part remote, part on-site, and take advantage of that. And safety should be foremost while we have on-site, but we should start on-site. Thank you.
Candidate King.
Thank you, Barb. This is a great question about safety. We want to make sure that the community is safe. First and foremost, with anything that we do and any program that we roll out or any activity that we have. I'd work with like local health communities. Not only like the doctors that we have, medical doctors that we have, also that the like work with Linden Oaks, work with mental facilities, and make sure we're treating like not only the body but the mind as well too, and try to incorporate that into the activities that we have going forward. Some of the virtual classes, definitely continue some of those and expand those as well too. And also look at our parks and our recreation to do outside safe activities outside. Not have the parks completely closed, but have the ability to have people go out there and recreate in a safe manner outside, and kind of regulate that a little bit more, but allow them the opportunity to go outside. Thank you.
Candidate Ruffing.
Thank you. So my biggest concern as we transition is really just going to be providing something for whatever a patron's need is. I think continuing with the free and low cost outdoor events this summer that are so popular is going to be so important. Things like the children, obviously following the state's guidelines is of the utmost importance, of course. But if we're able to offer the children's summer concerts, the movies in the park, the concerts in the park, that's also a way to then bring in local businesses to be able to bring their products and services to the community as a way to help the business community recover as well. In terms of what should we keep, I think that we all know that, as we keep washing those hands all the time and, following all these great hygiene that we've all started following, obviously pushing those as much as we can as a district would be important too. Thank you.
Candidate Wilson.
I would be concerned with just making sure everybody's continues proper hygiene protocol, emphasizing hand washing when going indoors and outdoors. I think that having kids that are participating in activities, I've seen this through Fort Hill Center when we attend there. So I think that we've done a really good job with that. As we transition to more warmer weather, outdoor activities, which I think we're all excited about. Just emphasize people are getting outside, getting vitamins from the sun, which helps serotonin, honestly, helps get rid of the winter blues, so to speak. And so I'd like to emphasize more outdoor activities, which I think helps everybody in general. Thank you.
Candidate Ansier.
Thank you. So yeah, as you transition back to in-person things, again, safety first. We need to make sure we're still having masks worn, appropriate distancing, appropriate hand washing and cleaning protocols. I think as long as we can stay the course with that, it'll make people feel much more comfortable coming to things and events, and will help bring people back into facilities. and programming. That's the strategy I think that should be maintained for a while, at least, until we are mitigated enough out of the situation for better safety to have things be a little more what we're used to before being normal. I think this is a great opportunity to educate the community about health and safety as well, as long as we're promoting those things. And if we do these outdoor activities, things that are free, to really help with revenue for those too, would be to maybe offer some discounted sponsorship abilities to small businesses, new businesses, local businesses owned by minorities, people of color, women, things like that.
Thank you. And Candidate Gibson.
Yes, thank you. I agree that I think safety needs to be a priority as we continue to transition, especially as many more members of our community are able to get, immunized. We need to make sure we cater to both people who are still concerned about the pandemic and people who are, more anxious to get out there. But I think safety and listening to public health experts and scientific evidence is going to be paramount. Going forward, I would like to see our virtual programming continue. I think one thing we've learned over the last years is even without a pandemic, there are many reasons that someone might not be able to leave their home, whether it's scheduling, physical, lots of different reasons, that meeting people where they are and giving them those options for recreation and healthy outlets is really important to our community. Thank you.
Candidate King, this round of questioning will begin with you.
All right, Barb, I was not given the opportunity to answer that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Please do so.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So I believe that first and foremost, we should be listening to the experts. We should be looking to local health authorities, government health authorities, and taking our cues from them. We should be continuing with mask wearing while indoors or when a 6 feet distance can't be maintained. I think it not only helps our community, and at its heart, that's what the Park District is the community, to be responsible for all lives and everybody together. So I would definitely want to make sure that we continue the virtual programming, like others have said, to be able to expand to more people. As we emerge from this pandemic, not everybody's going to feel comfortable going out. So we do need to make sure that we are catering to both sides, make sure we have those programs in place for everyone that would like to take advantage of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me know too. Candidate King, now we'll begin this round of questions with you, okay? This is also a multi-part question. So the question is, did you support the lawsuit that was filed May 19th, 2020 by the Naperville Park District to override the governor on the Park District reopening decision? Please explain why or why not. If you were on the board at the time of that vote, did you vote for or against the lawsuit? And Candidate King.
Thank you, Barb. I was on the board, and I did vote yes to initially sue the governor to open up the parks. There was a lot of activities that we saw that this wasn't being allowed, that I felt was a detriment to the community and the mental health of the community as well too. I didn't sue on the behalf of just saying, hey, we want to open the parks and get a free for all out there. There's what I sued for was basically saying, let's look at the mental health of our community. There's a story that I have of a high school kid, college age kid, trying to run in the parks by himself, and getting the Naperville police were shooing him out of the parks. He was by himself. We need to open up and give an opportunity for our community to recreate during that time, just for the health being. I did vote no to stop the lawsuit as well too, because once we filed on the May 19th, the governor changed his position, and then a new letter came out on the 20th. So sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. Thank you. Candidate Ruffing.
Thank you. Had I been on the board at the time, I would have voted no against this lawsuit. Last spring was a really difficult time for everybody. And I can certainly understand that residents and the board members and Park District employees wanted to provide opportunities as much as they could. But the fact of the matter is we had to listen to the scientists, to the facts, to the state health regulations, loss of activities. I'm a dance mom. It was difficult to go through spring with the loss of all these programs and classes. But it also presented a real opportunity for the Park District to see how they could best, help the community through it. And unfortunately, I felt that spending tax dollars this way was not a good use of taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Candidate Thompson.
Thank you. I would not have voted yes to sue the governor had I been on the board at the time. When I heard the news, it made me mad as a taxpayer that my tax dollars were being wasted on what I viewed as a frivolous lawsuit. I felt that that money could be spent in much better places, expanding virtual programming, looking into ways to reach people in a time when people are isolated, alone, afraid, and quite honestly, divided. We've come into a very divided time in our lives, and I feel like suing the governor made us even more divided. So I would not have voted to do that. I would have instead taken that, $25,000 and applied it to developing more programming that would have reached more Naperville residents and brought us together more as a community. Thank you.
Candidate Wilson.
It's hard for me to argue one way or the other, as I don't think everyone was privy to certain conversations, so it's tough to speculate on what people may or may not have done in the past. That being said, there was certainly demand for from taxpayers for certain activities such as golf, which are by their nature, or running in the park, which are by their nature are socially distanced, and being able to go to the park, again, get vitamins from being outside, help their health that way. In addition to that, I can also understand the Park District's perspective, given the fact that the $25,000 that it cost at the time was certainly made up in the coming months when revenue was brought in of $140,000. So it seems a bit incongruous to argue that it was a waste when money was when revenue was brought in over the coming months of again, somewhere in the range of $140,000.
Candidate Answer.
Thank you. Had I been on the board, I would not have supported this lawsuit. Reading about it upset me as well. This did not have widespread community support. Park District is supposed to act in the best interest of the community and their interests to serve them. And this felt like it was not serving the community. It was maybe serving a personal purpose. I'm not sure, but either way, it did not seem to really be in the best interest of the community. If we're supposed to be taking safety first and keeping safe recreational activities for the community to use and take advantage of, then I don't see how suing the governor to open things up sooner than they maybe should have been was necessary. Plus, it ended up being a lost cause anyway, because they already did it. There was already a plan in place. And I think that had they maybe been more patient, or maybe just petitioned the governor or lobbied for what they wanted in other ways versus a lawsuit, would have been a better way, because then you weren't spending tax dollars on something that was unnecessary, and it was more democratic that way.
Candidate Gibson.
Yeah, no, I did not support the lawsuit against the governor. I think it's helpful when we talk about the lawsuit, we remember where we were as a community in May 2020. Personally, my family lost my grandpa to COVID in May 2020. He was 6 miles away in Naperville, and none of us could be with him. In May 2020, my husband is a local physician, and he was in the labor pool, and we were told that he'd have an hour before he had to report to the ICU. So we had go bag by our door. We're trying to figure out what that meant for our young family. Heck, in May 2020, I was cutting apart my daughter's headbands to make elastic for the homemade mask, because you couldn't find it anywhere. This is the environment in which the Park District sued the governor. I think it was tone deaf. I think it was politically motivated. I'm not a medical expert. To the best of my knowledge, no one on the board is a medical expert. If I'm elected, I'm going to trust science and medical experts. I'm going to listen to public health officials because I'm not one. Thanks.
Candidate Jaswal.
It is a tough stance. For the situation that Mike explained, I can completely understand why this sued. Costco was open, Joel Osco was open. We were going in with our masks, maybe homemade masks. We were all sitting home. Would I have done a lawsuit? Maybe not. I would have lobbied. The end result was the best 1 year I have enjoyed. I know the golf courses opened the next day, probably due to the lawsuit. Maybe a lobbying could have done that, but we cannot roll back the clock. What came out of it is a situation where we should not go for conflict, but have a middle ground with government agencies. We should work together, yet reach the public goal. We could have saved the money and opened the golf courses. Having said that, it turned out great. I mean, one way or the other, people came out and they had a fresh breath of life. I was running and I was walking, enjoying the parks. So thank you.
Next question, we'll begin with candidate Ruffing. Do you support the current recreation and program benefits afforded to the former Park District Commissioners?
I have to be honest, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm not aware of any perks for the park board commissioners. I'm not running for any perks or pay. I'm running truly just to serve my community in the best possible way that I can. If there are any, whatever the perks and however you, how you worded it, if those are there, I'm interested in taking a look at those, seeing if those types of things should continue, obviously making sure that they're not a hindrance to the taxpayers. But truly, I'm running to serve my community, not for any perks. Thanks.
Candidate Thompson.
Yeah, so I didn't even know there were perks for the position until like maybe a couple of weeks ago, and then I looked at them. I mean, they're nice. They're a nice thing to have there for serving your community. Are they necessary? I don't know. It was interesting to see the list and what things were allowed and what things were not allowed. I think it is a nice way for Naperville to say thank you for volunteering for a position, since it's not a paid position. But quite honestly, I had no idea that they had existed until about 2 weeks ago when somebody sent me the link and I clicked on it. So I would definitely take a look at them and see what they are costing the taxpayer and see if they really are necessary or not, though. Thank you.
Candidate Wilson.
I don't recall the enumeration of what they are either, but I think maybe free golf lies with one of those. Happy to give them the free golf money back to the taxpayers. So yeah, not sure how others feel about that, but it's their money in the first place. They can have it back for that matter. I'm happy to pay on my own. Yeah, that's where I stand on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Ansier.
Yes, the perks thing was definitely not something I was aware of either running. And it was mentioned and I was like, oh, that's a thing. Okay. So, I mean, I don't really have much to say about it because I don't know enough about it to comment, but I'm sure if elected, then I would get a chance to look at those as well and, make determinations. Is this something that we want to keep going or not? And if it's an issue for anyone, then that definitely should be expressed and we should consider it.
Thank you. Candidate Gibson.
Yeah, thank you. I am most definitely not running for any perks. I think if it's a concern, it's worth looking into, particularly, in 2021, we can look at what other park districts are doing, seeing if our perks are aligned with industry standards. But I know personally, I don't golf. I'm not really sure what the perks are. I don't know if they are for current board members or lifetime. If it is a lifetime perk, I think that's definitely worth looking at and considering. But it hadn't really crossed my mind as one of the reasons I want to do the job. I want to do the job because I want to serve Naperville, not because I might get free golf.
And candidate Jeswell.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the perks. This is the first time hearing, so I would take a look at it. And as other candidates have mentioned, if it is very expensive for the taxpayers, maybe we will, as a group, as a board, revise it and maybe take out what's expensive. Maybe keep a small perk if it's necessary. I do a lot of fundraising, and my company sales force that I work for matches 1:1. So in summer, we did poker tournaments and we donated about $15,000 for different charities. Winners would donate. Apple would provide a 1:2 match. Salesforce would match 1:1. So I would like to donate as much as possible. So, I'm not running for the money here. It is an honor to serve Naperville. Everything we have and the community has given. Thank you.
And candidate King.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there really aren't too many benefits that we have. There are opportunities for us to utilize some of the park facilities for free, and it gives you as a park commissioner an opportunity to actually use the facilities and different opportunities to go and just like attend things, to go to experience that, and you're kind of like a secret shopper at times, because there's really not too many people that actually like know that you're a park commissioner, and that's good unless you screw up, then you're known. But you kind of secret shop it, and it's a great opportunity for you to get to know the facilities, how they're run, how they're operating, and then kind of come back and say, can we do this better? Always looking for process improve. So I think I like the benefits. We have to look at them to see if they are a lifetime opportunity, and if they are, what's the burden on the taxpayer? Because we don't want to have something in perpetuity, keep on going on and on and on like that, and having the cost of taxpayer for not the service. But we're all doing this for service. We're not doing this for pay. There is no pay. It's a lot of time and a lot of effort. So, sorry.
Thank you. The next question will begin with candidate Thompson. And the question is, what will you do to ensure access to Park District programs for low-income residents and residents with disabilities?
I love this question. First, for access to programming for low-income residents. I know we have an amazing scholarship program through a private foundation, which is fantastic that we're able to partner with them. I would like to look for ways in the budget to maybe expand our scholarship opportunities. I know even with two parents working in my household, it was often quite difficult to afford to send my daughter to preschool and to pick out all the classes that we wanted. So just looking for ways to ease that burden. Comparing our programming and our pricing to other suburbs would be very helpful as well, to make sure that we are staying competitive. And then, like I mentioned before, incorporating neurodiverse programming, making sure that we're hitting all those different markers and making sure that we're bringing people together as a community in those neurodiverse programming. Thank you.
Candidate Wilson.
Thank you, Barb. So what I'd like to do to ensure there's access to low-income individuals, as candidate Thompson mentioned, we do have a scholarship program. I would like to ensure that that is promoted more, and perhaps, again, I guess, partner with other organizations to ensure more people can afford parks and programs. With regard to offering those with disabilities opportunities, the Park District does partner with Western DuPage Special Recreation Association, as well as Kids Matter, and they've had in the past. So perhaps promote more of those organizations in order to boost accessibility and advertise on that in that regard. We'd have to look at to see how much demand there would be for the Park District itself, as I wouldn't want to take away opportunities from those 501c3 organizations, as may be unintended consequences. Thank you.
Candidate Ancier.
Thank you. This is definitely something I'm very highly interested in, helping facilitate more accessibility for everyone, various abilities, various incomes, making the scholarship program more robust, more known, make sure that people understand that this service is even available. Perhaps when people sign up for programs that they do pay for, could put in an extra dollar or something towards a scholarship fund, something like that. I know the schools do it for school lunches and things like that. So perhaps the park district can do something like that to kind of better pad the scholarships availability. Look at other park districts and see what they're offering. I took a look at Chicago Park District, Aurora Park District. They offer things like programs for wheelchair sports. We could see, first of all, what the need in the community is for certain things like that. And we maybe don't have people interested in wheelchair sports per se, but that's something we should try to find out and see if that's something we can offer. Sensory sensitive parks and play places.
Candidate Gibson?
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to make sure our programs are competitively priced, particularly when we look at neighboring communities. For some programs, you can actually get cheaper non-resident rates there than you can for our resident rates here. And the advantage of making sure the programs are competitively priced is that they help all residents that don't qualify for the scholarship through the Park Foundation. But also the Park Foundation is a stipend with every program catalog that comes out. So that stipend will go further if the program classes are lower. And I think accessibility is important. The mission is to serve the people of Naperville, not the people of Naperville with a certain amount of money, not the able-bodied people of Naperville. It's all of Naperville that deserves access to our parks and recreation.
And Candidate Jeswell.
Thank you, Barb. Yeah, as other candidates have mentioned, we need to increase the scholarship program through funding, through sponsorships. Naperville has done good as far as sponsorship is concerned, but we have a potential to increase. We have a lot of large and small businesses, medium businesses that are in Naperville that we can tap into. We could expand the program. It takes a community to raise all-stars. So there is a story of Kamayu Johnson, who is going to PGA, and he was raised by the community for his golfing skills. So we should be able to promote students or kids who deserve to rise up with the donations, right? And for accessibility, we provide the remote learning and then reduce cost so that can go towards more towards the accessible programs. Thank you.
Candidate Ruffing? Oh, I'm sorry, Candidate King. Candidate King.
Yeah, definitely with our scholarship program, we want to be able to expand that as well. All the candidates have said that quite well. Work with our business community, see if there's an opportunity to increase maybe possible donations within a scholarship program to increase affordability to everyone in Naperville as well too. And then look at our WESDRA program, our partnership with WESDRA. It's an awesome partnership with that. They present once a year, and if you have a dry eye after they present and the programs that they provide for the community, it's just incredible what they do and what a partnership is. I feel so proud about that partnership as well too. But you got to look at it and see if there's to expand that as well too. Are we doing as much as we can to be inclusive, to be accessible as well too? So there's always that process improvement, and we just have to look at it and see what we do. But I feel that we provide a great service and a great partnership with WESDRA.
Thank you. Candidate Ruffing.
Thank you. So of course, increasing the scholarship program is of the utmost, is a very important aspect of this. But as I mentioned earlier in one of the other answers, I think that the low and no cost programs that the Park District offers are honestly excellent. And they're some of my favorites, to be honest. I mean, obviously a lot of them are in the summer, but even, seeing Santa in the winter and going on Easter egg hunts in the spring. These types of big outdoor events, obviously, depending on guidelines, that will obviously be a factor this year, but that is such a great way to not only bring the community together, but also, people from outside the community have an opportunity to come experience the Park District, see those businesses that are able to, to be there as well. And that's just, I think that's just a great way to keep highlighting the Park District. Thanks.
The next question will begin with Candidate Wilson. And the question is, what will you what is your current understanding of the Park District's financial standing? What is your current understanding of the Park District's financial standing? Candidate Wilson?
Sure. So my current understanding of the Park District financial situation is that there's about a $40 million operating budget. I think close to half of it comes from taxes and the other half from program fees. I also understand that there's a 25% reserves, which is why the Park District was able to do well without increasing the average property tax going into this year, which we've been all fortunate to benefit from. Park District also holds a AAA bond rating by Moody's, which I think they've done this over the past 10 years. So it's quite good. You can obviously contrast that with the near junk status of Illinois, and certainly attribute to the parks doing well fiscally. So again, I want to just ensure that we're able to keep our taxes down, especially dealing with the pandemic this past year.
Candidate Answer?
Thank you. Yes, the Park District finances definitely are in great shape. I do understand also that there was concern with certain things with the golf courses as far as the cost of them, whether or not the cost that's going into maintaining them has been worth it, if interest in golf has dropped. So those are definitely things that on the financial end would have to be looked at more closely. I myself, I'm not a golfer. I've not been to the courses, so I don't have any personal stake as far as or understanding of what people would be looking for as far as golf courses go and what appropriate pricing would be. But just listening to those concerns, both of the community and the fact that it hasn't brought up in the Park District before, is definitely worth looking at.
Thank you. Candidate Gibson?
Yes, thank you. My understanding is that the Park District has weathered the last year with its challenges of COVID, pretty well, exceptionally well, especially compared to other organizations. They were able to rely on their healthy reserves and adjust the timeline of several capital projects. So weather the storm this past year, and it's something our community should really be proud of. I have been reading through the financial information on the website, and in fact, the board meeting last week had a great financial presentation. So I'm hopeful if I'm lucky enough to be elected, it looks like we would be stepping into a good financial situation. And I take the responsibility of being a responsible steward of tax dollars very, very importantly.
Candidate Jaswell? You're on mute, sir.
Sorry, thank you, Barb. 42 million overall budget, roughly around 42 million. We have about 20% capital expenses that we use. We're doing fantastic as far as year to year, and even during COVID. I have to congratulate the previous board for keeping that up, the AAA bond rating. One area where we could do better is we have about 3 million plus of debt servicing that we do for the loans. We can reduce that with the low interest rates that are out there. We get only 1% interest, but again, with the low interest out there, that's okay. We can increase the capital expenses. We can see where the programs are not working. Golf is actually generating revenue. So we should look at how we can maximize the golf course revenue with bringing in small businesses so that we can really make it a fantastic place. So we don't go out to other cities and play golf, right? Yeah, thank you.
Candidate King?
I'm actually the finance chair for the Park District. So we are doing a fantastic job. And it's not me. I'm not going to take the credit for it. It's the staff. The staff has done a fantastic job. And Nate, you're right. Over the last 10 years, going on 11 years, we're AAA bond rated. That's unheard of for a Illinois governmental body. This is an example of good government. It's outstanding staff, outstanding government, outstanding boards, myself included, and then the previous boards as well too. And moving forward, hopefully I get a second chance to do this, but the boards are in a great place financially. we did a great job of looking at our staff needs, reducing our staffs, not hiring part-time workers, just reducing the cost to really work through COVID. And one of the candidates said about the financial presentation that was last week. It was outstanding, the job that the staff did. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of people doing double duties and filling in where they can. But really what they do so well is look at our needs and our wants and finance it that way and budget for it. So sorry.
Candidate
Keep on
Ruffing?
going over. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Thank you. So I was also at the meeting last week and was so happy that I was there to be able to see that finance report. And truly it was a testament to the employees of the Park District. They obviously got creative with, how best to save money, how, where we shouldn't spend money last year, where you could kind of push stuff to this year. So, I mean, obviously they have a great group over there working and keeping track. 60% for the 2021 budget of the revenue is coming from taxes. And so it amounts, depending on what school district you live in, it's about 5% of your tax bill goes to the Park District. And then, about 20% from charges for services. So, you have to really be aware of where that revenue is coming from, to help inform of where you're going to spend it. I just lost my train of thought, so I'll stop there. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Candidate Thompson.
Yeah, so like the other candidates, I do know how amazing our Park District budgeting is, and our finances are in a wonderful place. And we are incredibly fortunate here in Naperville to be able to have that, and thanks to the leadership of the current board and the past boards before them. So I would love to just continue that financial accountability to the taxpayers and make sure that we are spending our tax dollars, the money wisely, and always looking to reduce costs and cut the budget wherever possible in programming that maybe isn't desired anymore by the community. Thank you.
The next question will begin with candidate Ansier. And the question is, what will you do to support Naperville Park District's green initiatives and sustainability plan?
Thank you. Yes, I very much believe in environmental sustainability. Various ways of going about that with regards to capital projects and things that are new coming down the line, making sure that they're done in a way that's sustainable. They're green rated. I'm not sure if that's the proper term for it, I'm sorry, but I know that there's ratings for when you have new projects and new things being built, that they do follow some certain environmental standards, using solar power, whatever those things may be, having more green space and just being more responsible for those are all things that I very much support. And as a board member, if I were elected, I would definitely want to make sure if there's anything we could convert to being more green and more energy efficient in a way that makes sense fiscally as well, that would support that, as well as support, again, new projects and capital projects being done that way.
Thank you. Candidate Gibson?
Yes, thank you. Environmental stewardship and sustainability is very important to me. I would champion projects like the Park Meadow Project and the Sustainable Parks Initiative, which both have timelines that have been pushed back to continue through this year, but are going to rely on board support to make sure they continue into the future. I also, one of my favorite things the Park District does are the community involvement events that relate to environmental sustainability. The dandelion pull, or my favorite is the pumpkin smash over at the community gardens. My family took our pumpkins there, tossed them, and now they're fertilizing the field for the community gardens this spring. I think those events are super important because they not only make an impact from the day of the event, we fertilize the fields, but our community is learning from them. We're thinking, we're remembering, that composting is important and that these little things we do can have a big impact. So I think community involvement in environmental measures is really important.
Candidate Jaswal.
Thank you. I believe in lowering overall cost. So if sustainable development is one of my plank in this campaign. If it can lower the cost of taxpayer money, I'm all for it. any projects where we could save energy cost or water or any of the costs related to the solar power, then we can. But again, we cannot put more money into sustainable projects at this time. We are coming out of COVID, so we have to be very careful in what choices as a board we make. These are all great, but as we move forward, yes, maybe in a year from now, 2 years from now, when the cost comes down, we can take a look at it. But right now, the issue is we cannot burden the community with any more taxes for sustainable development. Thank you.
Candidate King.
Hi there. Actually, what I do for Nicor Gas, I manage the energy efficiency portfolio. So I work with commercial industrial customers and their sustainability, their energy efficiency as well too. I work with the residential and income qualified customers to make sure that they're using a natural resource in a proper way. Same thing I would do for for the Park District as well too. I always look at the sustainable goals. I always look at environmental stewardship. I always try to find ways that make sure that, and the ways that we're doing, the way that the Park District is doing is bar none like one of the best ways to go about sustainable and environmental stewardship. They have the best staff on I learned from them at times about how the planting, natural plantings, the water waste as well too. They do a fantastic job and they have a fantastic staff on board that all Naperville should be proud of, and they do it in sustainable ways. And they always look, I try to find energy efficiency opportunities. They're always one step ahead of me as well too. So they do a great job.
Candidate Ruffing.
Thank you. The Park District has done a great job. They have some award-winning projects that they've done. And one that I always think of is Knock Knolls, which was built several years ago. Knock Knolls has done such a great job of integrating so many different climate awareness into that building. When you're in the restroom, it teaches you about the roof and how the rainwater comes down and, fills the toilets. And inside, when you go in and you look at the fish and you look at the animals, it talks about, these native fish and these native plants. So having these gorgeous projects that not only obviously help the community by being sustainable, but they also educate to the community, because I think the more that everybody understands how certain things that we do will affect the climate, is so important, because honestly, the greatest gift we can give to future generations is to be conscious with sustainability and conservation efforts in every project that is done through the Park District. Thanks.
Candidate Thompson.
Yes, I would absolutely support any more initiatives for environmental stewardship and sustainability. It's something that's very important to me, and something that I am very proud to say I'm from Naperville, and we lead many other cities in this arena, especially with our Park District. One of the things I would really love to do is to look into even more programming and expanding the programming for children in regards to environmental sustainability. One of my favorite quotes, and I'm probably going to butcher it, is first we must teach our children to love the earth before we ask them to save it. And the only way to have them love the earth is to get them involved early and young and having fun while doing it. So ideas like our outdoor preschool program that we already have, and other community building events like Mary mentioned before, would just be incredible to building that sense of environmental stewardship in our children here in Naperville. Thank you.
Candidate Wilson.
So part of sustainability, I think, is trying to ensure that we have green space available as part of the land cash projects that come up. Try to prefer green space if possible, and try to ensure that green space is actually usable. That being said, I do think as candidate Jaisal, I'd have to agree that it would concern me just to ensure that the taxpayers are being reasonable, met in those expectations, not proposing, as opposed to proposing, making sure that there are concrete projects in funding, as opposed to hiking our taxes. And if we can't afford it anymore, it would certainly be a problem. Additionally, though, Park District has had previous programs, partnerships with local businesses, events at Fort Hill Center, where we're able to learn about how Ted's Montana Grill, for instance, helped the environment, and other businesses.
Candidate Gibson. This question will begin with you. Did you support the January 2020 Park District Board of Commissioners resolution calling for Governor J.B. Pritzker to veto House Bill 3653, which will institute criminal justice reform statewide? Yes or no? Please explain why.
And quick, 2021, so it was just this past January. And no, I didn't. Public safety and criminal justice reform are very important. And the Park District has its own police force. So it's understandable that the Park District would need to understand how state bills affect the Park District. However, that's not how the resolution to call for the governor's veto came about. Everybody's able to go and look at the video from the board meeting. It was January 14th. I believe it was just after the 32nd minute mark. And, you know, park commissioners are absolutely entitled to their own opinions on policies, legislation, even how effective Springfield works. But I object to the Park District using its funds, its resources, its time for what appear to be partisan political goals. And I think if you look at the origins, if you go back to the meeting and see how it was discussed, I mean, everybody can make their own opinions on the motivation, but it's worth looking at the meeting.
Thank you. Candidate Jaswal.
Barb, if you don't mind, can you repeat the question? Thank you.
Sure. Did you support the January, I stand corrected, 2021 Park District Board of Commissioners resolution calling for J.B. Pritzker to veto House Bill 3653, which will institute criminal justice reform statewide? Yes or no? And please explain why.
Yes. We live in Naperville. Naperville is the safest community that I know. I have lived for the past 15 years. It is really important to understand the way HB bill was passed. It was rushed through in 6 days. There were many citizens who were protesting. During that time, there was no debate. We are going through COVID, and most of the bills that affect security require some introspection and some discussion. I see that it was done very fast. So obviously, Park District had to protect their police officers, and I think it was rational for them to make that decision to protest. Now, would I do that? We need a healthy dialogue between the governor and the legislature and Park District. So I would support a discussion and move this forward in a amicable way. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate King.
Hi, Barb. Yes, I did support this, and just like the other candidates have said, the Naperville Park District does have a police force. A lot of people don't know that. They think it's all part of the Naperville Police and that aspect of it. But we do have a police force, and we, although I do believe that there's an opportunity for us to, as elected officials, we have the ability to say, what we feel, maybe in a nonpartisan way or a partisan way. But it's also important for us to make a stand and say, that we're behind our police force, we're behind criminal reform, but do it in a proper manner, do it in a proper forum, to not in the wee hours of the night, but do it in a proper debate, like Nagda said, is basically just communicate and talk about it so everyone can have their input on that. And that's basically why I supported it. But I also support our Naperville Police, our Park District Police as well too. And I think that, we need to have a good open discussion about this.
Thank you. Candidate Ruffing.
Thanks. I did not support this. I support criminal justice reform, as it is something that has been long needed in this country. I believe that the motivations to the resolution were a bit misguided. I also unfortunately heard a lot of discussion tossed around that weren't totally based in facts. We hear this weight. We hear this. People didn't like how it happened, but people of color have been told to wait for decades. And I really believe that this bill, it doesn't just cover the police, it covers victims, it covers survivors. There's so many important things in this bill that I 100% support. And it's also important to remember that you can support the police and also support the criminal justice reforms mentioned in this bill. You know, we're lucky to live in a safe community, and that will continue no matter what. Thanks.
Candidate Thompson?
Yeah, I did not support the veto. I thought it was a tremendous waste of time and resources. The main reason being is we are fortunate enough to live in the #1 safest city to raise your family in the United States. We are already protected by amazing force, and we are fortunate enough to have an additional park district police to protect our parks and to protect our residents. And most of the things that the bill was aiming to eliminate, the Naperville police, and from what I have heard, the Naperville Park District Police are already doing. We're already not using chokeholds. We're already maintaining these good practices of bias training and things like that. So it felt unnecessary to me, and it felt very politically motivated and biased. And for that reason, I would absolutely not support any vetoes based off of that.
And Candidate Wilson?
So yes, as a couple other candidates had mentioned, the Park District does have its own police force. And part of vetoing the bill was important to ensure that safety is provided in the community. While the discussion may have seemed politically motivated, specific page numbers were referenced in that discussion, which may adversely affect the citizens, such as page 326 and page 228, I believe it was. So while some things certainly need to be fixed, we ought to look at those specific issues and try to see if there could be adverse consequences to those specific issues.
Thank you. And Candidate Ansier?
Thank you. I was not in support of the Park District making the stand of the veto purely on the premise that it just, for all intents and purposes, was just grandstanding. Speaking out against it, no matter what your opinion on the bill or not, there are proper ways to speak with our government, to make your beliefs known, make your feelings known on how these things affect you. So if the Park District has specific concerns about the bill and how it affects the Park District police, then they can take those to the governor and Springfield and everybody else they need to speak to in a more appropriate manner. Just having a moment in a meeting to say we veto it doesn't really do anything. It's just making a stand to show that you're making a stand. And it's not necessary. It wasn't necessary to anything that the Park District is doing currently. So unless you're going to do something further to actually show why doing this is necessary to support the Park District Police or the Naperville Police or whatever the case may be, there was no point for that.
The next question will be directed first to Candidate Jaswal. The question is, what programming gaps do you see in current Park District offerings, if any? And how would you propose resolving them? How would your proposals be funded?
We have a huge gap. We have great programming so far, but we have a gap with respect to tennis. We have a gap with respect to ice hockey. My kids played ice hockey. We have to go to neighboring parks, neighboring towns to play ice hockey. We have a gap for cricket. We have a gap for yoga in the parks. There are spiritual activities for senior citizens. There are gaps. We need discussion. We need to get the pulse voice of the customer, understand what is required. These are my observations, but we need to get the voice of the customer, understand what they need, and probably come out with sustainable programs where we can, make them, we can offer without losing money. So that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate King?
I would leave this answer up to the residents, the community itself, for the gaps. I would provide a survey to the community and find out what the needs are. I don't want to, be biased or look for, what I feel is a gap. I want to know what the community's voice is to see what the gaps are. And then from there to see if we can actually truly fund those either facilities or activities. And if we can, then we'll bring it forth, in a fiscal and responsible way. But I really looked for the voice of the community to kind of guide me through my decision making to make sure that we're providing the correct services for them in the future. So a survey would be the best way.
Candidate Ruffing.
Thank you. I really think that as we move through 2021, this is a real opportunity for the Park District to refresh their offerings. Lots of classes haven't been running. So as we move into more in-person activities, obviously following the safety guidelines, I think this is a real opportunity to see what's working and what's not. And I do think that there's some really good opportunities here to appeal to different genders, ages, cultures, etc. For example, expanding the dance program to appeal to multiple different types of dance styles, but also to appeal to both genders, right? I think that culturally we could do more with cooking and, art and that sort of thing. So I think that we have a real opportunity here to refresh our programming, to really give the community what they want and what they really need as we move forward.
Thank you. Candidate Thompson?
Yeah, as I've mentioned before, I've spoken to many community members who are very excited by the idea of expanding the special needs programming, the neurodiverse programming, particularly as more and more children are diagnosed on the spectrum. I feel like there's a growing community here and a growing need for that. And I think it would be welcomed even beyond just the programming that is already offered by partnering with outside services. I also think that there's a great need for cultural programming, for cultural dance classes, for, I know the cooking classes have been mentioned, things like that, that bring us together and give us a better understanding of one another as neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Wilson?
Yeah, so I additionally would think we need to survey the residents. Unfortunately, it wasn't done last year, I believe, due to COVID. So I think we should probably as soon as possible do a survey to see what really the demand is for certain various activities. I think the last one that was looked at, there was some demand for trails, running, biking, that sort of thing. Additionally, I think that from looking at the past survey that people have an assumption that a lot of the classes are geared toward children. So perhaps see if there's an actual demand for classes such as senior classes. That said, I would hope not to take away from private businesses and run into unintended consequences by offering various classes that private businesses already offer and reduce their revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Ancier?
Thank you. Yes, this is a great opportunity to refresh the programming, diversify the programming to answer those gaps. We can absolutely survey the community and see what they would like. And also make sure that we're thinking of the options too that can be done virtually, again, beyond COVID, doing cooking classes, language classes, there's a book club, there's always something that we could be doing that could be accessible to a lot of different people. As I mentioned before about increasing sponsorship, if there were a way with people who are paying the programming fees to voluntarily donate money towards scholarship programs or to other ways to kind of help increase money for those things as well would be part of that. Local businesses and artisans can also be hired to do some of these things. So it wouldn't take away from the community by us offering it if we're bringing them into it. My son took a Kung Fu class taught by a man who had a private Kung Fu studio here in Naperville. So that definitely is possible.
And Candidate Gibson?
Yes, thank you. I think there's a lot of room for growth in diversifying the program offerings of the Park District. Surveys are great, but they're not the be all end all of community engagement. It's actually, I have a lot of experience in this area. I have a master's in social science from the University of Chicago, and professionally, I specialize in merging survey data with other sources of data, particularly large big data sets, social, traditional media. It's really important when you supplement your survey data with other forms of engagement, like open meetings and meeting the people where they are. Because if you rely solely on surveys, there's often big parts of our population that we are missing, that we're not listening to. I think also we have the benefit of working with a lot of larger parks and rec organizations, both at the state level and federal level, and we can look to them for examples of ways we can diversify. You know, we have the benefit of looking at, you know, best practices at other park districts as well.
Thank you. The next question will begin with candidate King. And the question is, do you support expanding the park district's facilities? Yes or no? And please explain the reasons for your response.
Expanding the park district facilities, you know, we're always looking to grow and provide services and facilities for the area. So I would say, you know, yes, in that regard. We're doing Wolf Crossing. We just did 95th Plaza, Knock Park as well, the renovation of that. Knock wasn't really true an expansion, but it's providing the services that are needed within that area. So I would say yes, as long as it's not going to adversely affect the taxpayer and the community itself as well too. You don't want to just expand to expand. You want to expand fiscally responsible and provide the right services and facility as well too. You don't want it to say, oh yeah, we're going to do this, and then leave the taxpayer with a bill, you know, going on down the line. That's quite expensive. So expansion, but make sure it's correct in what the community wants and can afford.
Thank you. Candidate Ruffing?
Thanks. I think as far as expanding goes, you know, capital projects are a great way to do that. And, you know, as long as we're focusing on approving projects that are going to be not only fiscally responsible, but, you know, benefit the community, that's what we really need to focus on. I think it's also important that as we talk about expanding, you know, are we expanding just to expand? Are we expanding to provide opportunity for perhaps a part of Naperville that isn't being, you know, doesn't have a whole lot of opportunities of engagement right now? You know, listening obviously to the residents of what they need is super important. But I just really think that as long as we're making decisions that will benefit the residents while being responsible, is, you know, is going to be the most important thing as we talk about expanding.
Candidate Thompson.
Yeah, I think looking for ways to be responsible in expanding our park district facilities is always a duty of the board and should always be one that we're looking for. I think one of the number one things I've heard tossed around at expansion, as far as expansion goes, is looking into getting an indoor pool. This would be something that we would need to fund over a very long time. I think they threw it at the last couple meetings ago, like 60 million would be of the price tag on it. But I do believe our community does have the resources and the want and the need for something like this. I think it would have to be a long-term project. I think it would be something that would need to be developed over time, but expanding in ways such as that, I feel like would be a huge benefit to our community as a whole. Thank you.
Candidate Wilson.
Yeah, so I guess it would depend on what we're specifically expanding. And again, to kind of go back to the last question, as far as what demand there would be for expanding the services, to kind of echo Candidate King and current Commissioner King's comments, I prefer not to expand to just expand and don't want to adversely affect the taxpayers and leave them with an unfortunate bill, giving them not being able to afford current programs that they're already using, or being able to afford other small businesses that they use or invested in. So again, it kind of depends on what that expansion is and what the demand from the taxpayers really is. Thank you.
Candidate Ansier.
Thank you. Yes, the whole point of the Park District and the Park District Board is to serve the community in whatever way that is necessary and feasible for the Park District to do. There are areas that don't get as much activity or maybe don't have the same, they're not as, I'm sorry, I'm struggling for the word, proximity to certain facilities that we have in one area that maybe aren't somewhere else, like in the south part of Naperville. If expansion is what's needed to reach people, then absolutely we should do that. Of course, fiscal responsibility is always a part of everything that the Park District should be doing. I think that goes without saying. But definitely, as far as in support of expanding facilities, programming, whatever it takes to serve the community, the Park District should absolutely do, of course, in a responsible way.
Thank you. Candidate Gibson.
Thank you. I think the Park District should be continually looking for ways to better serve its mission, helping people lead healthy lives. And it's my understanding that we're pretty great at that. There's an amazing staff at the Park District that's constantly innovating and finding new ways to serve our community. A good example is the new Esports League, which was just given a big award. If an organization doesn't continually look at how it can do better and expand, then it's going to be quickly left behind. And I'd hate to see, right now, Naperville Park District is a leader among park districts, and I'd hate to see that fall behind. But with any expansion, obviously a cost-benefit analysis would be vital. Part of the board's responsibility is to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. So everything would have to be done thoughtfully.
Candidate Jaswal.
Naperville is growing. The population has increased, especially on the south side. There are a lot of new residents coming in, but we have to justify any new development with not just the financial cost, but what will it add to the maintenance? We have to distribute our dollars between what needs to be maintained. There are a lot of facilities that require maintenance and a new facility. We just built the Wolves Crossing Park. So every project brings in cost. We need to assess that. Can we partner with local community centers? They don't have to be owned by Park District, but can we partner with businesses? Can we partner with community centers and bring in services? That way, we are increasing revenues, we are giving services, and still serving the needs of the community. And then we can expand. We can always expand if there is money, and we can generate that financial stability. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you can all breathe a sigh of relief. This is your last question. And the questioning will begin with candidate Ruffing. And this is the question. How are you and your family utilizing all that the Park District offers?
Oh, great question to end with. I love this. So as I've said, we've lived here for about 9 years. And ever since we've lived here, we have used the Park District extensively. I think between my two girls, we've taken dozens and dozens of classes. My husband has volunteered as a soccer coach, as a basketball coach. We have been to more events than I can possibly think of, as I keep mentioning, but I just love them. Those summer events, the concerts, the movies, the fireworks, I mean, just so much. And then we're so lucky to have some really world-class facilities right near us. We live just a few minutes from Knowles. I've already mentioned that too. Clearly, it's one of our favorites. There's so many ways to utilize that. My husband has used the disc golf course. I use it when I want to be a wannabe triathlete in training, for the bike trails. There's just so many incredible ways that we've used the Park District. And that's honestly one of the reasons that has brought me here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Candidate Thompson?
Obviously, we're all running because we love the Park District and we love the parks here. My daughter was fortunate enough when we moved here to go through the Park District preschool program. And if I hadn't lost my job, she would have gone to the Knowles outdoor preschool program as well. So I've done Magical Starlight Theater since I was a teenager. When I moved back to the area, even though I didn't live in Naperville, I continued to do it as an adult. And now that my kids are older, we go every single year. We bring all of our nieces and nephews for a big night out. So we've been so missing magical starlight. It's near and dear to my heart. We frequent the parks all the time. Knock Knolls is one of our favorites. It's very close to our home. We have a park right here in our Naperville that's maintained by the park district, and we just absolutely love every aspect of the parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Wilson.
Yeah, so we've used the parks extensively, like everyone else has done, seems to. My children have taken many of the classes, anywhere ranging from soccer, basketball, classes at Knock Knolls. I myself have volunteered as a soccer coach and t-ball, baseball. Would love to continue to do that. One of my favorite things have also been going through daddy-daughter dance, which is hosted at one of the elementary schools. Great thing about it was also that you'd receive one, like a token thing to go to a restaurant for like a free kids meal. So it was an opportunity to spend more time with your family and meet other people. We participated in a ton of activities and love the park district. I'm going to continue to do so.
Thank you. Candidate Ansier.
Thank you. Yeah, so as I said before, that was something I was very excited about when we moved to Naperville, was using the park district. So my son does soccer every season it's offered. My daughter has done gymnastics there. My son did Kung Fu there. I myself am a member of Fort Hill Fitness Center. Granted, I've not gone as often as I should have over this last year, but I'm still a member. I still pay my membership and I still utilize it. Been going back more frequently. The running track is great. We have a neighborhood park we can walk to, which is fantastic because our neighborhood is so wonderfully diverse. So we can go there, and I've heard 2 or 3 different languages being spoken. My kids get to play with other kids that they don't even see all the time because they live up the block, but they're still there. So it's wonderful having the parks nearby to be able to really meet with the community and reach out to the community. We drive to other parks to try them out that aren't near us. They really enjoy Nike Park as well. So we definitely get out there, and I'm really hoping to get to Centennial Beach. We haven't done that yet.
Thank you. Candidate Gibson.
Yeah, thank you. I will be sending my 3rd child this year to our family's 5th year at the Knock Knolls preschool. It's an outdoor program and we just love it. It's such an alternative way for the little ones to learn. My yard actually backs up to a park district property, and it's one of the reasons we bought the house we bought, because it's just so great to be able to step out and enjoy, the park district and all the beauty it has to offer. This past year has been really hard on our family, just like so many of our community. And I've been so grateful for the hard work of the park district staff coming up with creative ways to serve our community this past year. My family really enjoyed the Halloween happenings, and I was really sad that I didn't think my kids would get to see Santa this year. And the amazing staff at the park district came up with the creative idea of having Santa in the Riverwalk Cafe. And it melted my heart to see my kids get to see Santa in a year I didn't think they'd get to. So we love the events, we love the facilities, we love the parks.
Thank you. Candidate Jaswal.
I live in South Naperville, close to Commissioners Park, Wolf's Crossing. I have 2 great golf courses, both in South Naperville, Springbrook and Naperbrook. A lot of trails, Riverwalk. My family have taken benefit of all the offerings that Park District has. My kids have grown up in the community. Park District is great, the facilities and how it is being run professionally. We can do great, we can do better. We also participate in the India Day celebrations that's partnered with Park District and the Naperville City Council. So they do a great job. Again, with the Park District, I want to serve and keep continuing what it has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate King.
Thanks, Barb. I grew up in these parks. I played baseball, I played football in the parks. I just love the facilities. I love the opportunity that I had as a kid. My first job was at the Park District. So my life is kind of like full circle, coming back to the parks and serving the community that I just love. And the facilities that we have are just incredible. This past end of October, actually, I just got a full hip replacement. So maybe not play sports when you're young, but hey, it's fun. So, but anyways, but I love the opportunity to go out and like rehab at Fort Hill, the walking track that other candidates have mentioned as well too. It's fantastic for me to get out there and walk and get back there. I'm looking forward to getting back to the trails and walk the facilities, playing golf at our 2 golf courses, and just the opportunity and the ability for us to have these best in class facilities right in our backyards are incredible. And I feel so fortunate to be part of the Park District, and what a great opportunity for the other candidates to be part of this coming up here too. So thank you very much.
Thank you all. Now we'll begin your closing statements. You've all agreed to a 1-minute closing statement. And the first to begin will be Candidate Thompson.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much, League of Women Voters, for hosting this incredible event tonight. I have always come back to and what I will strive in, if elected to the Park District Board, is bringing a sense of community to the board. I believe at its core, the Park District should bring community together. And what better way to do that than diversifying programming and making sure that we are spending our taxpayer dollars responsibly. At its heart, the Park District should strive to bring different groups of people together, to bring new programming that the community desires, and really bring a sense of togetherness when we're in a time that's so divisive and secluded. So I hope going forward that we're able to do this and to reach out to the community with more and more events. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Wilson, 1 minute.
Thank you, and thank you to all the candidates. It's really been a great evening. It's been an enjoyable speaking to voters, news organizations, and the park board throughout this process. I'm confident I've been able to get a better understanding of the families in Naperville and what they expect and need from the Park District. Again, thank you to the League of Women's Voters. From the very beginning, I've maintained that we need to be good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, and we're responsible to them first and foremost. So we need to meet the demands of them, while also providing partnerships like with WDRSA and other organizations, while still providing quality parks and services. So I respectfully ask for your vote on election day. I'm number 7 on the ballot, and look forward to serving the community in Naperville and the Park District Board.
Thank you. Candidate Ansier, 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for this event and for hosting tonight. The Park District really is in a wonderful position to bring the community together and to serve the community. And that is first and foremost what I want to do as a candidate for Commissioner Board. If we make the Park District more accessible, we're going to bring more people in. If we make it more affordable, we're going to bring more people in. The more people that are in, the better the representation is of the community. If the community is better represented, they're better served. And that is absolutely everything I am hoping to do with the Park District Commissioner position, to really promote a sense of community. Naperville is a wonderful community. We all know that. It's becoming more and more wonderful and more diverse every single day. We need to keep up with that. We need to serve that. We need to always be representing that. And I hope to have your vote on April 6th or before if you're doing early voting. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Candidate Gibson.
Thank you. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this evening. And thank you to everybody listening for doing the hard work it takes to be an active member of our community. If elected, I'll bring my professional background, my education, my commitment to service, and my values to everything I do on the board. I'll bring the perspective of a young parent, someone who's actively taking their kids to all of these Park District programs, someone who sets the alarm on her phone to make sure she logs in at 11:59 to get that last spot on the soccer team, and someone who's adding all of these amazing programs to her cart and then looking at the price tag and having to cut because we just can't swing that big price tag. I would prioritize quality and affordable programming. I'll make sure we're leaders in environmental stewardship and sustainability, and I'll be fiscally responsible, making sure that Park District funds, times, and resources directly fulfill its mission of helping the people of Naperville lead healthy lives. I'd love to earn your vote. If you'd like to learn more about me, you can visit maryfornaperville.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Jaswal.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you, LWVN, for providing me the opportunity. Thank you, viewers, for your time. I am running so that I can bring in my experience. I can be, transparent, my, financial background. I bring in an outside-in perspective as a first-generation immigrant. I want to provide honest, transparent board stewardship to the community. I am looking for your vote. I am number 2 on the ballot. I would like to bring park security, fiscal responsibility, quality of programming, overall a sense of voice of the community back to the Naperville Park District. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate King. 1 minute. And you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize. I couldn't get off mute there. But thank you, Barb, and to the League of Women Voters, and to Becky and to Allison as well too for putting this on. Thank you for all the candidates that are participating and giving of their time and ready to serve Naperville as well too. I had the pleasure to serve Naperville for the last 4 years, and I want to continue that. I really love this community. I love the Park District, and I love everything about Naperville. I love the diversity of it, and I love the opportunities that we have going forward and to serve our community coming out of this pandemic. As we serve, the staff has done a great job serving in the past, and I know they will do a great job moving forward. And I want to be a leader there for them and for the community as well too. I want to listen to the community. I want to provide the services and facilities that they need and want, and have that voice on the board for them, for the community as well too. I truly do enjoy being on the board, and I look forward to serving with all of you, whoever's elected, and hopefully I'm elected again to serve. So thank you for this opportunity.
Candidate Ruffing.
Thank you, and thank you so much to the organizers, and special shout out to all the viewers who are hanging on for this last minute. So I actually grew up in Central Illinois, and one of my very first jobs was for my local park district. As a teenager, I spent many summers as a seasonal employee, beginning as a lifeguard and working my way up as an aquatics facility manager and the summer swim lesson coordinator. This experience was truly my first glimpse into how a park district can benefit the community and its people. If elected, I intend to be a voice for all residents, and I believe transparency and integrity to be vital to a governmental body. Additionally, I look forward to ensuring that Naperville Park District offers classes and events that are both inclusive and affordable. I look forward to being a candidate for equitability among the Park District programming. And finally, I look forward to not only continuing but strengthening the strong reputation the Park District has as a leader in sustainability and conservation efforts. Thank you all again, and I hope to earn your vote on or before April 6th.
Thank you all. As candidates, you make choices on how to spend your campaign time. And so we thank you for joining us here tonight. Thank you to all who are watching, and thank you to the Naperville League of Women Voters volunteers for hosting the forum. Please mark your calendars and take time to vote on or before Tuesday, April 6th. Historically, over the last 4 consolidated elections, voter turnout has been less than 20% for the local offices that directly impact you. We need everyone to participate to make our democracy work. The candidates have done their job in being here to share their views. Now it is up to you as the viewing and participating public. Your job is to be informed, talk to your neighbors, and go vote. Please visit vote411.org for information regarding all candidates on the April 6th ballot. Early voting has already begun. Please check your county election website to register to vote, find locations for early voting, or apply for a ballot by mail. Thank you all. Congratulations. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.